Hey everyone, welcome back to On Purpose, the place you come to become happier, healthier, and more healed. Today's guest is not only a friend, but someone who I'm so fascinated to dive into his mindset. I love top performers, people who are operating at peak places and making incredible impact happen across the world in their field, and this is one of those people. Miles Chamley-Watson is an Olympic medalist, redefining the sport with his style, confidence, and a vision that's pushing it far beyond what it's ever been before. Miles Chamley-Watson, welcome to On Purpose.
Wow, thank you. That was an absolute incredible intro. It's an honor to be here, honestly. Before I kind of got to meet you, it's really nice to be a fan of your work. And I think you instill some incredible ideas on people, made them feel better, which the world needs more than ever. So thank you for that. And it's an honor.
Dude, we met in the best way possible. I felt like we were on a boys' trip, which is what I felt like. And it just turned out to be like the easiest conversation. You guys like invited me into the Wolf Pack, which made me feel really, really comfortable. We played poker from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m., 3 nights in a row. We were out on the water, we're hanging. It was amazing. And I just, I know that I was kind of coming in fresh and new, and it was just, you were one of those people, you and Spins especially, big shout out Spins. You were one of those people that just made me feel like at home. So not only are you amazing at what you do, which we'll get into, you're a great guy off as well. So I appreciate you, man.
Thank you.
I want to dive in by asking you, like, what I heard from you, and I've been watching your interviews, and obviously I came to your event, which we'll talk about in a second, but I feel like you always felt like you didn't quite fit in. Talk to me about your earliest memory that reminds you of that feeling.
I think being born in London, my mom was kind of the mom and dad. That was kind of in my life until I was about 8 years old. So I think naturally you kind of rebel. So I think when I was playing football, running track and fields, I always felt like I was just different, kind of my approach, my mindset. And then we moved to America when I was about 9 or 10, kind of in between those years. And those years are very important, right? All your friends are there, your family's there. So naturally, moving from London to New York, I was like, I don't want to be here. So getting into trouble, getting kicked out of my first school, public school, then I got kicked out of my second school. And then my mother met someone that was on the admissions program for private school, which to give tuition grants because we didn't have money at the time. But as a punishment, I had to pick up tennis, fencing, or badminton.
As a punishment?
Because they're considered mental sports. And I was like, oh, whatever. Sports are fun. And then I was like, wait, I can pick up a sword and like stab you? All right? I was like, this is like the kid's dream. And then immediately, that was my purpose. Because you put the mask on and you feel like a superhero. And I think that was the first time I realized like, okay, this is going to be my way out of whatever I'm kind of in. And then I was very ADD, ADHD, and then fencing kind of became my outer role. And as I started to get better in fencing, I started to get better in school. So that kind of ended up being a double-sided sword, which ended up being my job. I kind of got very, very lucky in finding fencing because I don't know where I'd be now if I wasn't, a professional fencer, which is a crazy thing to say,
I feel like sports when you're young are so important. What was the difference? Because everyone plays sports. I played a lot of sports growing older. You're obviously phenomenal at what you do. How quickly did you realize that this could be something you were actually really good at?
I think it was immediately.
Really?
Yeah, I picked it up right away. And Ellen Grayson, who I love her to the death, hello, she was like, Miles, you could be an Olympian. And I was like, that's in fencing? Really? And I think immediately I felt this connection that was like nothing else in my life. And it was like my therapy. And I think nowadays it's like kids ADD, ADHD, first things like, hey, we should give them a pill or give them a drug. And I'm like, find them something that they love. I think that's the key and sports are amazing because no matter if you're rich or poor, at the end of the day, it's who's going to win, right? Same sword in my hand, same mask on my head. And I think that's why sports are so incredible because they saved my life. I never knew at that time that it would be my, be all end all, but fencing literally saved my life.
Wow.
Which is crazy to say.
Yeah, but I believe you. I can feel it. Like even just sitting with you and you saying that, I'm like, wow, that's like, because I feel like so many parents today are wondering, how do I get my kid to be confident? How do I get my kid to like just get out there? And I couldn't agree with you more that you only feel confident when you have some competence. Like when you feel like you have a skill or you have an ability and you have something to do beyond scrolling on your phone or, you know, watching a show or playing video games or whatever it may be. For you, talk to me about what do you think life would have looked like if you didn't find fencing that early?
I honestly don't know because we were hanging around the corner shops, you know, getting into trouble, stealing sweets, just kind of because we didn't really know what there was for us. And I think that's also very important, having a father figure in your life. And think of my mom found my stepdad, Colin, who I say my dad to you because he is my dad, raised me. I think that's also very, very important is because you need someone that's going to tell you no when they can. And I honestly don't think I would be, definitely not talking to you. And I definitely don't know if I'd be behind the bars, to be honest with you, because I was just such a crazy little kid. My friends I grew up with, you know, they're plumbers, happy, but I was kind of the only one out of us to kind of make it out and create a name for myself.
What area did you grow up in?
First, it was Southwest London, and then it was Ealing, and then it was Putney, and then Kilburn a little bit.
Yeah.
And then we moved to New York. Yeah, and a really, really funny story. 2012 Olympics, my three friends, Aaron, Adam, and Blake, they're all brothers. They were plumbers, and they actually built the Olympic Village.
No.
So yeah, first time I was saying that, yeah, they literally built the village.
That's so cool.
And they were cool. And like, hey man, I'm building a village. I was like, what do you mean? And they're like plumbing it and making it. And then they kind of got to see me compete in 2012 and it all came. So that was a full circle moment for me.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's so good, man.
Yeah, it was crazy.
And that just happened by chance. There was no connectivity or anything.
By chance. And I think life is obviously about, timing's everything in life. And I really believe that. And I think some things might be not the right time, relationships, partners, sports, but sports, I think, are the number one thing. If I have children, I would put them in right away. I'm not going to tell you to be a fencer, but I think just sports teach you how to lose, what it feels like, integrity, listening. And I think that's what fencing taught me.
I told you this before. I don't think we had a proper conversation about it. So I did fencing at school. Yeah. And I won some super amateur championships at like 14, 15, 16. Maybe, I'm joking. I could never have been good enough to compete with what you do, but I loved it as a sport, actually. I thought it was really strategic. It was tactical. The fitness level was, it was challenging. I still remember it actually really well. We do it in the gym at school. Talk to me about the importance of a mentor though, because it sounds like you gave a shout out to someone there. And I was like, I think that's the difference. Like when I played a lot of sports at school, you've got to have someone who kind of takes you under their wing and like invests in you and makes you feel like you could go far. And I found them in life. I found them in business. I found them in spirituality and meditation and other areas of my life. But sports is somewhere where I think a coach or a mentor is just the most important person. Talk to me about how you found yours.
100%. I think Ellen Grayson and Eric Rosenberg, they were working at the school at the time and they saw my potential. And they actually were the first person to say, get your citizenship. But I didn't realize that was going to be who I am to this day. Without them, I would never probably seen my potential and seen how far I could take fencing. And then my coach, Simon Gershon, became like my dad. I can tell him everything. He's kind of teaching me that you must learn how to lose before you can learn how to win, which is a tattoo I have, which I think is so important because understanding the feeling of losing as an athlete is the hardest thing, to kind of understand and swallow. But then you have to understand what that feels like. So when you do win, you appreciate that more than ever. I talk to him every day. If I'm not feeling good, he can sense it. So to me, having a coach and a mentor and a role model is so important. I think now that's why I love being that for the kids now, which is one reason why I started this league. But I love seeing kids look up to me, parents ask me questions. And I think if I can be a little bit of a catalyst or kind of a helper for them, then that's probably bigger than winning any medal I could ever win.
That's such great advice. Where's your toe? Is it?
Yeah, it's somewhere on here.
Yeah.
It's somewhere on here.
How many toes do you have?
150.
Really?
Yeah.
That's mad.
Yeah, because I tattooed my hands because in fencing we're all in white.
Yeah.
So I was like, I want to stick out. And my mom hated it because she's, a British lady.
Now, I remember when we were traveling as well, you got these crazy ones on your shin as well, and your legs, yeah. When did you start?
2012, I got my first one in London.
Oh, that's late.
At the Olympics, yeah. And it says from London to London, And then I won world championships and I got the dates. And then I was like, I really like it. And then I just kind of went crazy with it. But they're all very, very purposeful. Like, they're not just random ones I've gotten for the sake of it.
What's the lose and win one again? Say that again.
So you must learn how to lose before you can learn how to win.
I really like that.
Yeah.
That's dope.
And I really understood that when I lost at the Olympics. We got fourth. And I was like, oh, wait, 4 years? And then I kind of changed my whole mentality. And then 2013, when I made history, and I was the first ever Black American world champion in the history of fencing. And I think if I didn't lose, I don't know if I'd ever win, which is a weird thing to kind of say, but I think it's pretty poignant. And I think it is very important for just your character. And just trying to be as humble and even keeled as you can. Because I never really understand some athletes who reach a certain peak and they just change who they are. And I think if you can keep, the little kid in you, then I think you'll be able to go through life with a lot more wins than losses.
It's such powerful advice. I remember obviously I never competed at any level, but I remember having a football coach who'd always say to us, he was like, if you win, celebrate for a night and then get back to training. And if you lose, cry for a night and then get back to training.
Yeah.
And he was like, all you have to do is get back to training.
Yeah.
Said everything else is irrelevant. You can celebrate for one night, you can cry for one night, but get on with it. Because his whole point was like, when we lose, we cry for a month. And when you win, you celebrate for a night. And that's why you remember the bad times more than the good times. Because when you lose, you get so deep into it. Talk to me about that loss that you had. The details of like what it felt like to lose in that way.
Well, it felt like your life was over at that time. My nan was there, she's African. My aunts, my uncles, everybody supported me. And I'm like, I feel like I let everybody down. And they don't care. They love me for who I am. But at that time, that was my biggest moment in sports, is making the Olympics in 2012 in London. And I just felt like,
hometown as well.
Hometown, ashamed of myself. And a really, really beautiful moment for me was I'm in the village and the basketball team walks in and Kobe walks in. And he's like, hi, how are you? And I'm like, hi, how you doing? He's like, I'm Kobe. I'm like, I know who you are. I'm Miles, I'm a fencer. And he told me this quote, I never forget it. I got tattooed on my leg. He says, the best athletes have the shortest memory. You win, you forget about it. You lose, you forget about it. When you're done your career, you can celebrate all you want. And I sit there and I was like, wow. And immediately that grin turned into a smile. And then I changed my whole mentality. And then I won the next year. I was able to tell him, which was really, really beautiful. But I think when you meet someone like that who you look up to, and they're just even more incredible in person, and he's just very humble and told me that from his coach. And I never, ever forget that. And I have it tattooed on the back of my leg with his face. So I think those moments are priceless to me. And I think if I would have won, would I have had that time with him? Or would I have been able to do more in my sport? So I think everything has a reason to come into your life, whether it's positive or negative. And I'm grateful for these moments in life that, are incredible.
That's such a great story,
yeah,
man.
And I never forget it.
Kobe came on the podcast the first year of the podcast. It was brand new. We just started out and he did exactly what you said. He walked into the room and he introduced himself as Kobe to my whole team. And everyone's like, yeah, we know exactly who you are. And my favorite memory from that day was that when we walked in, he was in his office and you could just see the silhouette of his head, and his team was saying that he was meditating in there before he came to do the interview. And they said he did that every morning. When we finished the interview, this was a little clip. I still have this clip. I've never put it out there because I feel it would be disrespectful. But at the end of it, he goes, I can see why you're number one. And I was just like, that will stay with me forever.
Wow.
He gave me the biggest hug. And yeah, I was so grateful and that was 3 months before his tragic passing. So it was right then. But yeah, what an incredible role model, amazing energy, so present, really humble. Everything you just said, just meeting someone at that level, that caliber, who is just so down to earth.
I don't want to talk too much about it because obviously respect to him, but I was on set with Nike talking about him the day it happened.
Oh.
The day it happened.
Wow.
And then Lewis actually texted me, I love you, brother. I was like, I love you too. But my phone was in the green room. And I was talking about him, his impact on me. And everybody just stood in silence. And it was just it was, and I think larger than life, these people, and life's a brutal reminder. And I think it's just enjoy every moment you can, negatives or positives. And I think that's all we can do in life, and just leave with love, and everyone else will take care of itself. But that man was so special.
Yeah, one of a kind. He was one of the few athletes I knew that was peaceful in retirement.
Yeah.
He was really happy because he won the Oscar for the short film that was teaching lessons from basketball. Yeah, exactly. But I was thinking about it. You mentioned something there. You said that you're the first Black person in the sport to win. I mean, that just, first of all, that is a huge accomplishment. Congratulations. I just want to acknowledge and honor just what a big deal that is. But fencing is known for being a notoriously white sport.
Yeah.
Like, that's what it's always been, I assume. You can fill me in the history a little bit. Talk to me about even breaking into something like that, because that's not normal. That doesn't sound easy. I'm sure there's a lot of things to navigate. Like, walk me through that experience.
I was in this group class, and, you know, they pick who you want on the team. We did like our first team event. It was like, so 3 people on one team, but it's other 3. And every time I was picked last, knowing I was not the worst one. And at the time, you're kind of like, all right, this is weird. I'm the only one that kind of looks like me in it. And then I started to realize that no one in the sport really made a mark on them that was my color, besides Peter Westbrook, who I have to give some homage to. And then my first ever Junior Olympics, I never forget it. I got 5 red cards for no reason. And I knew it was because of the color of my skin. Because the next day I won the under 17. I knew it. And now I've seen the referee still to this day, and I still have this, I was like a little kid. And it's just, you don't know why things are happening to you. But then as I got older, I started to realize it was just because of the color of my skin. Because no one in that sport had broken that mold. And there's been countless times of referees and coaches that are just racial gestures that I've never really talked about. Because my mom always just said, just win. And then what can they say? I've had many, many occasions from probably 14 till 17, 18. Then I was like, I'm the best now. And it's unfortunate because now there's still racism in the sport, right? It happened with this kid in Amsterdam, and I messaged him right away, like, you know, I have your back, and I'll talk about it and, you know, post about it, because you need someone who's going to have your back, because it's a very lonely feeling when you're the only one that has felt this way. Once I started to realize that, I made it like a positive chip on my shoulder. And I was like, okay. And I never look at life as anything negative, whether it's, you know, being racially profiled or losing. I always have a positive outlook on everything, because it's never a loss. It's always a lesson. And I think that was something that I was like, okay, this is going to be change in the sport, and I will leave fencing in good hands, because I know I've changed the sport for the best.
How did you handle it at the time when you didn't have someone reaching out to you?
The good thing about fencing is I can take my aggression out on my opponent. So it's a positive thing for the sport.
To channel it.
Yeah. You know, you're crying in the locker room. I never cried in front of my mom. You know, luckily we have a mask on. You know, shake your opponent and put the mask back on. But I think at that age, it's okay to cry, and it's okay to let things out, because there are coaches and parents who I've seen who have actually shunned their kids for showing emotions. I've seen parents leave their kids at competitions because their kid lost to me. And actually the kid is actually my friend now. And it's just a shame that parents don't realize like how much pressure there is on us to just win. So I think now seeing kids that look more like us, brown, white, whatever, girls, I just want to make them feel comfortable and happy and safe. And I think if I can be this beacon for them, then that's what I want to do in the sport.
Well, that was so incredible when you launched the World Fencing League.
Yeah.
I just got to attend in LA. I felt like you had people from different countries, different cultures, different backgrounds. I mean, that was pretty epic, man. That was amazing.
It was honestly a dream come true. We sold out. We broke records. I think over 1 million people live watching, which is more than the Olympics. And I think just seeing kids so happy that the sport is on the map was the best feeling I've ever felt in my life. So seeing all the little kids on the red carpet, to all the fences inside telling me, mate, I think you've done it. And that was, to me, the greatest day of my life. Because it was just, we really changed the sport on one day, because now there's the audience of people that have never seen it, like yourself, like people in tech, people in sports, people that I've looked up to the fencing fans to get the love that they deserved was incredible. Even as I'm smiling because I'm generally so happy that it happened. And now the response has been so positive. So we can keep growing and growing. I just want to get fencing on a mainstream, channel and platform, which is going to happen. But it takes someone like myself to know that it's going to be tough, but I can handle it.
For anyone who doesn't really know that much about fencing or is new to it, walk us through like what the regime is, what the fitness training is, what the skill is, what the art is, like how you train. It's almost like when people watch Drive to Survive, that was when people realized what F1 drivers did.
Yeah.
I'm sure you're working on a version of that for fencing. I see it.
Yes.
And I feel like getting inside your mind is interesting to me because I'm like, I love knowing how people who are performing at the highest levels figure that out, because that's what I'm obsessed with, is knowing how you perform at that level and that peak. So what's the training? What's the focus? What's the patterns? What are the things that you have to do that might surprise us?
I would say fencing's like physical chess, right? Where it's mentally just as taxing as physically. Because I have to think what you're going to do ahead and then react to what you're going to do as well. So I'd say the three main things would be being explosive, your reaction, and your timing. So if I have to react to you and then my timing of hitting you before you can hit me, I would say is very, very important. But then it becomes a beautiful dance as well, where I'm more of a feeling type of fencer, where I like to see what you're going to do. I like to look at your feet. I like to look at your mannerisms. But then there's guys that are very good too, that are very mental, and they'll just sit kind of more defensive and kind of pick you apart. I would say fencing's like if boxing, taekwondo, and 100 meters had a baby.
Wow.
Because you have to be very explosive right off the gate. You have to be very, very reactive. But then you have to have a feeling of kind of, if things go bad, how do I change right away? So it's kind of like there's no real sport like fencing because it's so unique. And then once you see it in person, you're like, oh my God, they're real athletes. I'm like, it's not like The Parent Trap, Great movie, but I'm like,
Parent Trap.
People are like, oh yeah. I'm like, no. People died 50, 60 years ago because it's an actual sword, right? I do the foil discipline, but so I'd say it's like physical chess is what I tell people, where it's just as taxing mentally as it is physically. It's such a unique sport because it is grip strength as well as core and your legs, because you're in a squat the entire time. And I think, as you saw, it's so explosive and it can be over in 5 minutes or 40 minutes. So you have to have a great VO2 as well. Get your heart rate from, 160, 170 back to the low 70s, 80s. So yeah, it's a crazy sport.
When you're training for a big tournament, what does your regime look like? For how long?
So I would say pre-season, we're doing a lot of cardio, and it's like similar to boxing, right? So we'll do 10 rounds on the assault bike. It's 20 seconds on, 40 seconds off, 10 times, and we'll do the ski erg, and we'll do sprinting. We don't necessarily need too much distance work, but it's more like high intensity, get the heart rate down, get that right back up again. And then I like to train 4 to 5 times a week. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday is big fencing, which is sparring, kind of get the fencing stamina. And then Tuesday, Thursday, if you want to do Friday as well, it's more of a lesson, which is one-on-one with your coach, which is how do I want to get better in this tactical movement? And I'd say that's kind of the building block for most fencers.
Got it.
Yeah. Whether you're 12 or whether you're my age, it's pretty intense at a young age.
And then how much are you fencing? Like, how much are you training different moves and...
Yeah.
If that's even the right word.
Yeah, no, it's good. Well, I'm very creative, so I like make up my own moves by myself. I like to spend an hour on my own in the gym when no one's there.
Well, that's what I find so hard about fencing is that when I saw it at the World Fencing League, to me, I was like, how do they predict anything? Because you could do anything. Like, obviously the target mark is only the upper part of the body, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You can't get someone's face, you can't get someone's legs, you can't get someone's feet. But even with that, I was like, the way the fencers were moving their foil, I was like, how would you know what they're about to do? Because it's so unpredictable. It's not like it's not obvious. It's not like, oh, there's this move and this move and this move.
Some opponents have like specific mannerisms where like, say Italians are very good at putting pressure on you. You know, Russians are more tactical. French kind of have both.
Oh, it's by country.
Kind of, yeah, I would say, yeah.
There's a style in each country.
And then the Asians have incredible footwork. Like it's insane. So you can kind of know that within fencing a Korean, you have to move your legs like crazy. Italians, you have to think a lot and react. French, they kind of have everything in one. And then Americans are kind of unpredictable as well. We have our own styles, but I would say for the most part, actually, yeah, it is actually by country. Now I'm like, yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
When you said people died in the sport, how long ago?
I would say 65, 70 years ago.
Because they didn't have the...
Yeah, so back in the day, it was dry. So Smirnoff and Bear were fencing, and unfortunately, the foil broke off and went through his eye, and it killed him immediately. So nowadays, if it breaks, there's a light that comes on right away. But back in the day, it was dry. So you just have to hope it doesn't break.
Wow.
So it was real, like some warrior stuff back in the day. And then now it's obviously progressed, and now we've added new tech, which we did in the whole league. But we're literally sword fighting. But I think people don't understand how hard it is until you see it. Like it's really, really tough.
Yeah.
And I played, football, I ran track, I played tennis. But I think you do realize it is an intense sport. So if I can give that, kind of knowledge to the people that don't know to understand it more, I think that's a massive key.
Yeah. I also feel like you bring your swag to fencing. You just mentioned the Met Gala. Like, I'm like, you can go from like fencing outfit to Met Gala to streetwear. I'm like, I'm sure you don't see that a lot in fencing either.
Yeah, I think...
You've got your own Nike swag. That
second one,
Yeah.
Honestly, those are dreams. I think like, I always knew that I wanted to do something different and like never be in a box, but like to be yourself. And I think the best thing anybody could ever say is, Miles, you never changed. That's the best compliment. I can't even tell some of my teammates what I'm doing because it just sounds so ridiculous. I don't ever come off as cocky or, I'm pretty humble if you meet me. So I think from like going from a competition in Istanbul to Miami F1 to the Met to going right into training, like people think I don't miss training. People, I go from the airplane to training. So I think like it is a lot of pressure, but also is a blessing. But what if I'm tired? I'm like, mate, look at your life. Like you're doing some pretty cool things. They're all a blessing, but it is a lot. But I try my best to take some time to, meditate. I'm trying to do that. I'm learning because I'm ADD.
Next time instead of poker, we'll do that with everyone.
Yeah, we should. No, I really...
After.
Yeah, no. Or before even.
Oh, before, yeah.
Because I think people don't want to spend time with themselves. And for me, I love hanging out with myself. It sounds crazy, but I love just being at home. I'm finishing The Untethered Soul right now. I'm reading, which is crazy to me.
Great book.
Great book. Obviously, I love TV, I love shows and sports, but I'm trying my best now to like take a deep breath and try and shut my phone off at like 10:30 at home and just, take some time with myself and be like, how are you doing? Are you good? And then I'm good. I'm generally a happy person, like actually happy.
Yeah.
So like I'm good on that. But it's also just like, all right, like take a deep breath and just relax for once. And I think that's my hardest part is the balance. And I think that's the ongoing battle.
Yeah, I feel like we all think our worth comes from being busy and productive and always being on. And it's a good distraction away from your actual thoughts.
Exactly.
And what's actually going on inside. And then when you slow down, the thought arises and you go, oh gosh, I don't know if I can sit with this.
Yeah.
And that's why I always say that to people, that's probably the hardest sport in the world is sitting with your thoughts. Like fighting with your thoughts is the hardest sport in the world.
Honestly, 100%. Because especially like as athletes, right? It's like you're in the hotel room before and you can't help yourself but to think about tomorrow. So like I read this book about samurais and it said don't worry about what you don't know. And that's why now I never talk about fencing. I never watch fencing until the morning of. I don't even know who I fence until the morning.
So you don't analyze the opponent until
Sometimes I don't know who I'm going to fence until I'm on this trip, which is kind of crazy.
Why?
Because one time I knew and I couldn't sleep. And then I'm envisioning in my head, and I wake up and I'm tired. 'Cause at the end of the day, if I don't know what I'm going to do fencing, how the hell could you plan for me?
Yeah.
Right? So I realized that. So now I don't ever talk about fencing, think about fencing. I don't want to know. I don't even go to the venue the night before. I just, whatever city I'm in, I kind of walk around.
That is definitely unique for an athlete.
Oh, it's crazy.
Yeah.
People are like, why are you doing that? But like, that helps me.
Yeah.
And then that's like how I deal with pressure. Because at the end of the day, pressure is a privilege, but it also comes with a lot of pressure. But also understanding now that like, if you can have this understanding that like you're supposed to win a competition, that's a gift. So if you can lean into that, like most people aren't supposed to win. So they've got no real pressure.
Yeah.
So I think now understanding that's actually a gift has helped me be like, all right, like just, lean into this. So I think just learning more about myself has given me more understanding of the sport of fencing.
Yeah. Talk to me about the road to your favorite tournaments, whether it's the Olympics, winning bronze, world champion. Like, talk to me. Let's talk about the Olympics first, because and you brought us the Olympic medal, which was incredible, which I've never seen one in real life. Like you said, everyone's wearing the fake ones when they're out or whatever in the pictures.
Yeah.
Talk to me about what it felt like getting to the Olympics, winning bronze.
I would say getting there, 0.001% of the population gets to go to the Olympics. I think it's like 0.001 get a medal, right? So unless you're Phelps, who's got 2,000 of them. But I think when you get there, at least my first one, I changed everything. I was serious. I didn't see my friends, which ended up being the wrong decision. And then the next year, I was like, I'm going to enjoy this. I'm going to get dinner with my friend the night before, and I won. That was me realizing that not everybody is the same athlete. And yes, there's rules and techniques and routines, but like, I'm not like the next person, so why should I prepare like them? So then once I started to understand that I'm different, then that kind of led me up to Rio. And I actually lived in Korea for a little bit. And I trained with Young Ho Kim. And I won the first Grand Prix of the season. But like, why is he going to Korea? I'm like, why not? And I won the first Grand Prix of the season. And I was like, that's why. Because I wanted to learn something new. And I think as athletes, change is okay, but sometimes it's hard to take that leap, right? And then I made the Olympics, and then I had the best team fencing of my life. And I was able to enjoy the moment, the process, be in Rio, meet the other athletes. And I think that was when I realized you need to enjoy the journey, because when you're done, besides the medal, memories to me are more important. And if you lose those memories, then you've lost, I think, the coolest part of the journey. So I think leaning into like the understanding and having fun was ultimately why I was able to, go to 3 Olympics and have success. And, now I'm like, this kid's like, I'm so stressed. I'm like, what are you stressed about? Because you want to win? That means you care. Next thing. So I've been able to go through each of these ebbs and flows and have answers to most of them, which I think is the key to success, right? Everybody can be really, really good. If you can unlock the mind, that's when you become a legend. And that's what I'm learning from people who are legends of taking those risks and being crazy. Because, it takes one person to change the world, right? It takes one person to change a sport. And I think if I can be that person, then I've created a whole new roadmap for the next kids to, oh, wow, this is a different approach for me, which has been a blessing.
I love that. I love the idea of you going to Korea, learning a new school of thought. I love the idea of being this multifaceted individual, because you're so right that whether it's sports or whether it's business, whatever it is, everyone thinks that there's only one way to do it right.